Hey there, folks. Welcome to the Wolverine Den podcast. I'm your host, Zach Sanday. Let's get started. So, this week we're going to be talking about the new Michigan defensive line coach hire, which I had no idea what this, I was actually kind of shocked on this one, but I was actually really excited at the same time. So, we can talk about that. We're going to talk about, Jim Harbaugh rumors continued. And we're also going to be talking about the 2022 revised Big Ten schedule. I gave out one last week. It's been revised. This is the final. I'm guessing this is the final one. And let's get started. So we're going to talk about the new defensive line coach, Mike Elston, coming from Notre Dame. Big hire. I did not expect him. I thought it was going to be more on the inside. I thought Ryan Osborne was going to be moved up to, defensive line coach. But hey, we got a good guy coming from Notre Dame. It's always fun to watch, your rivals squirm on social media and be pissed off at the Michigan Wolverine fan base and taking shots at him. So, Mike Elston, welcome home. He played at Michigan, in 1993 through 1996. He's an outside linebacker, and then he became a graduate assistant video intern up until 2000 at the University of Michigan. Then he moved along to Eastern, Central with Brian Kelly, and then he moved over. He just followed Brian Kelly everywhere. He went from Cincinnati all the way to, Notre Dame. But he didn't follow Brian Kelly to LSU. And I'm really excited about this hire. I've heard this guy, can recruit the hell out of some people and get some good guys coming in. Get 5 or 6 guys drafted in the past 2 to 3 years. That's amazing. We need that kind of talent. We really haven't had an interior defensive lineman get drafted like that since Maurice Hurst. So it's been a while. He worked with Notre Dame as a defensive line coach and a linebackers coach and then a recruiting coordinator, and then he became an associate head coach starting in 2018 up until he left Notre Dame. And he is the 4th Michigan position coach or head coach, if you're including Jim Harbaugh, to be a coach on Michigan football team, which is awesome because I feel like it'll help with the culture. What Michigan football really means as a program, and try to teach these kids coming in. This is what it means. And they get them ready for games like Ohio State or Michigan State, or their other rivals like Notre Dame, which we won't be facing them for a while, so I'm not too concerned about them. You got other coaches like Ron Bellamy, who, is a safeties coach from Michigan, played at Michigan. Mike Hart, the running backs coach, I loved Mike Hart. I loved watching him, growing up when I was a kid. I was really fascinated with him, and, starting in 2000, obviously like his freshman year in 2004, up until I followed him after, he was with the Colts. He didn't, pan out well with the Colts, but I feel like, he was still an amazing running back in college. You can't deny it. Then you got Jim Harbaugh, who played quarterback at Michigan. You got 4 different coaches on the Michigan coaching staff, and they played for Michigan, and they know what it takes to, be Michigan. Like Bo always said, the team. It's all about, being Michigan. I love it. In the 2022 schedule, I did talk about, last week about, the certain schedule, and things were changing with Michigan State, and it actually did. Michigan State is now at home, which I'm actually kind of excited about. I never understood the whole, 2 straight home, 2 straight away stuff. I feel like it's just always alternate like it does with Ohio State. So it's basically the same schedule. You got Colorado State, then you got Hawaii, Connecticut, and then Maryland. All 4 of those games are at home. Depending on who starts at quarterback, if it's J.J. McCarthy, I feel like it's a good, stretch, first 4-game stretch to get him going into rhythm with game time. And if it's Cade, business as usual. Iowa, same thing, October 1st. It's at Iowa. I'm concerned if it's going to be a night game or not, only because, like I said before, last week, 2016, 10-0 Michigan, number 3 in the country, went to Iowa at night at Kinnick and lost lost with the last second field goal. So that kind of concerns me a little bit. Then you got Indiana. You're at Indiana after that, and then you're back at home against Penn State, and then you got a bye week, and then you're back at home against Michigan State. I feel like that's the perfect time to have a bye week, especially after a rival like that. I have some friends, don't ask me why, but I do have some friends that are Michigan State fans, and they've just been riding my grill ever since that game. And I keep telling them, hey man, Big Ten champions, I don't give a crap about that game anymore. They beat Ohio State, they won the Big Ten. That's all I care about. Everybody forgot about that game. So if you want to, pat yourself on the back for being third in the division and beating Michigan, good for you. Good for you, because I don't care. And then you have you're at Rutgers on November 5th, and then you're back at home against Nebraska and Illinois in November on the 12th and the 19th, and then you're at OSU on the 26th of November. You're at the Shoe. I already know, how much of a meltdown Ohio State fans have been having on social media about Michigan. They keep bringing up the past. Oh, it's the first game they won in 10 years, blah, blah, blah. Well, guess what? Hopefully this changes the trajectory and flips the script on you guys, and hopefully that Michigan can win another one at the Shoe. With the hire of Mike Elston and him coming home to Michigan, I hope that Jim Harbaugh, it helps indicate, and leaves a trail that Harbaugh is staying. And while he was at the Paul Bear Bryant Awards, someone asked him about the NFL rumors, and he said it's more enjoyable. The rumors are more enjoyable than last year. So I don't know what that indicates, if he's, just calling them rumors, if it's true. And I've been hearing things that, players have, recruits and their parents have been saying that Jim Harbaugh's staying. I'm not sure. Don't quote me on it. Don't fact check me on it. It's that's what it is. It's a rumor. So I pray to God that Jim Harbaugh stays. I know this happens every year, but this one feels different. These rumors feel different for some odd reason, because he's on a high right now. He took Michigan back to where they belong, on the top of the Big Ten, and hopefully it'll just be like it was back then, back when Bo and Woody were back together, fighting it out for, the 10-year war, just back and forth, flip-flop, winning games back and forth. And hopefully this was the start of it. I remember I don't remember, I wasn't born yet, but in 1969, Bo beat Woody's best team. And I don't know if this year's team was Ryan Day's best team, but hopefully that starts something like that, where it's just, they're back and forth. And the script changes every year. I hope that it comes to that, but I hope Jim Harbaugh doesn't leave. I want him to stay. As much as people, weren't happy with his first couple years, you give him 2 years, that's fine. After 2015, he did okay. Especially after the last year of the Hoke era. Everyone was okay with seeing, 10-3 his first year, and then the way he progressed in 2016. And I feel like after that Ohio State game, that was gut-wrenching. People will say it was a 2015 Michigan State game, trouble with the snap. It wasn't. I feel like the 2016 Ohio State game was it was the change of the program. It was detrimental. Because then in 2017 they went 8-5, losing their bowl game after going 8-4 in the regular season. And then 2018 they were favored to beat Ohio State, got clamoured. And then 2019 same thing. 2020 they just didn't play them because Michigan was so bad, and I was scared. I was like, man, Harbaugh's gone. What are we gonna do? What is the team gonna do? What is the program gonna do? But then after this year, I was ecstatic. To be honest with you, every game I watched, I watched every game. I went to a couple of them. And no matter who the opponent was, I just wanted them to get up by a couple scores so I can just be like, I can take a deep breath. And I hope everybody agrees with me, because I feel like I'd be crazy if I thought that myself. And also, since we're talking about Michigan football, obviously, Andrew Stuber is going to the draft, and I couldn't wish him more luck, man. It kind of it's kind of hesitant for me now on the offensive line. You got the transfer from Virginia. I cannot pronounce his name, but I heard he's a great player. I think he was second team All American. Hopefully he's a plug and play kind of guy. And you got Zach Zinner, Trente Jones, Carson Barnhart. Hopefully these guys are ready to go. They got some reps, a couple times this season. Sharon Moore's done a great job with the offensive line, so hopefully they can plug and play. QB, I have my opinions, and I hope you guys comment your opinions down below in the comment box, and we'll talk about it. But I think JJ is and should be the starter. You can't throw away that kind of talent, and people will compare the Cade and JJ argument like Tom Brady and Drew Henson back in the late 90s. Lloyd Carr would put them in a quarter apiece and then figure out who has the hottest arm, and then that's who would finish the game. And I feel like it's not true. Cade has done phenomenal this year with him keeping the ball secure. Not turning the ball over, and just basically, leading the team to victory and game management. But if we want to compete with the guys like Georgia, Alabama, and then who knows where Texas A&M is going to be this year, especially after their number one recruiting class, we got to compete with those guys. And it's hard to say because, NIL is really going to be, pushing the envelope on how, good you can be in college football. The landscape is changing, unfortunately. And if we don't get a good NIL program and you don't get, you're like a guy like J.J. McCarthy, and you're not going to win those games. You got to get a first or second round draft pick, quarterback in and behind center to win these types of games. I don't think Michigan has had a draftable quarterback in a long time. I can't even remember, to be honest with you. Maybe Chad Henne. And that was back in 2007. So I have no idea. Running backs, I'm not concerned with. You got Donovan Edwards-Corum, Taviar Dunlap. You got C.J. Stokes coming in, and I saw the video of him tearing up, about just working his ass off just to, achieve his goals, and that's what you want to see in a football player. So I'm kind of excited to see C.J. Stokes come in. I don't care if he's a 3-star or not. Son Haskins was a 3-star, and he was a workhorse for the team this year. Defense, I'm concerned with. I've always been hesitant, especially with that, the defensive line. Chris Hennon going to the draft. You got Aiden Hutchinson, David Ojabo going to the draft. Who's going to replace them. Maybe, in the next couple of weeks we'll talk about that. We're losing Daxton Hill. We lost a couple transfers. Andre Zeldin. Will Johnson, Keon Sabb, Zeke Berry, will those guys be ready to play coming up this year? We'll never know. But until next week, guys, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. And go Blue.